नहमदुहु व नसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम अम्मा बाद फ़अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व barakatuh. Now in the last lesson what we have looked at that to gender of the noun, and we defined some filters that when you pass a noun to that one, then you can identify if it is either a masculine noun or a feminine noun. In this lesson we will be looking at the dual form. That means if a noun is being given, then we have to identify if it is a singular noun or if it is a dual noun or if it is a plural noun. So a singular noun is something that you talk about a single person or a single object or a single place. Dual case would be muthanna in Arabic. That means two person, objects or places. As I said in the previous lesson that the Arabic plural basically begins from the three. So from three onward you will count all the things as plural. So single is a single person, and a muthanna is when we are talking about two things, and then Jama or plural is something after the three we count all the things as plural. Just before we talk about the dual case, let's look at some of the vocabulary section, and that is waladun, 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 rajulun, rajulun, rajulun. Now let's make the dual case of it. If we have a single noun, say for example kalamun, which is a single pen, then we wanted to convert it into two pens. First of all, what we have to do is to write that kalamun into this column. We will not be dealing with this column because the plural would be dealt in the next lesson. So we will be saying kalamun, and the next step is just to remove that thing out of it and put a fatha on it. That would be kalama, and you bring ani sound over there. So ani plus alif and nun with kasra, and that makes it all together as a dual form. So if you wanted to convert a noun from a singular to a dual, what you have to do is three-step process. One of them is that you remove that, the tanween, put the fatha on there, and then bring the ani sound there. When you join together, that would give you kalamani. So it's a very simple, easy steps. What you need to do is just replace that thing with the fatha and then bring ani sound over there, and that is kalamani. So that means we have converted one pen into the two pen, and that's kalamun is now becomes the kalamani. That means we are talking about the two pens. So let's take another example. That means kitabun, and we want to make two books out of it, and that is then kitabun and kitaba ani. So that would be kitabani. And now in this case, waladun, waladun, and you replace it walada and then ani. So that would be waladani. And rajulun, rajulun, and that would be rajula, and that brings the ani sound over there, and then there is rajulani. And the last one is babun, babun, and then baba, babani. So far what we have dealt with is all of them as masculine. And second thing that you can see is that they all are in rafa, and we said that a noun can exist in rafa, nasab and jar, and we are only dealing at this stage with the rafa. So later on down in the lesson we will be talking about the other cases as well, so it would be a little bit different that when you convert a single into dual case but in another case. So let's take some example from the feminine side as well. So that is mirwahatun. In this case what will happen that mirwahatun, you write it like that one, but the round thing, which is that one, is a property of tanween. When tanween goes away, that round thing has to go away and it will open up. So you have mirwahata, and you bring ani over there, and that mirwahatani. So you can recognize the dual case from the ani sound in a rafa case only. So mirwahatun is one fan, and when you're talking about two fan, that is mirwahatani. Now just take another noun, and that is ghurfatun. That's, we are talking about a single room. But if we want to talk about two rooms, then what we do, we just bring that one, that thing would open up because we are removing that tanween and we're putting the fatha over there. That would be ghurfata, and you bring the ani, that is then ghurfatani. And similarly bintun, and that would be binta, and that would be bintani, and all together when you join it, it will be bintani. And now another noun, imra'atun, that's a single woman, and when you talk about two women, and that is imra'atun, and you take that one away, it will open up, and that would be imra'ata, and then ani. So that would be imra'atani. And jannatun, and when we take that tanween out, that will open up and you would have a jannata, and that would be jannatani. And When you join it up, that would be jannatani. Now another one, that would be ainun. You talk about a single eye. When you talk about two eyes, that would be then ainun, aina, and ainani. That would be ainani. And lastly, rijulun, a single leg. When you talk about the two leg, that would be rijulun, and rijla, and then rijlani. Now what you have seen so far is that when you convert something from a single thing to a dual case, in a rafa case, then you have to add ani at the end, and there would be fatha just before it. So that we have covered the dual case, we will be taking hadith. Hadith is the saying of Prophet Muhammad. So there is a Quran, which is the saying of Allah, and there is hadith, which is the saying of Prophet Muhammad. So we will be taking time to time the text from Quran, and we will be taking time to time the text from hadith, and we will be analyzing according to the grammar, so that you learn the language perfectly. Just before take the hadith, we will take some vocabulary section, and then lisanun, 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 mizanun, mizanun, mizanun. Now let's bring the verse from the hadith and just put it in the dual case, because we need those dual cases only over there. So kalimatun is a single word, that whatever you say is a single word, and if you wanted to say that two words, that means two words, and that would be kalimata and ani. So that would be kalimatani. And about habibatun, and if you say habibatun, so you would say habibata, that means habibatani, that means two friends or two dear. So that means if two things are dear to you, you're talking about the habibatani. Then khafifatun, that is light. But if two things are light, you would be talking about it as that khafifata and then khafifatani. And similarly, if it is thaqilatun, that means heavy, is a single thing heavy. But if you want to say that there are two things which are heavy, then that means thaqilatu, thaqilata, and then thaqilatani. Now you can see that just by converting a single word into a dual case, what you need to do is just to put that fatha out there and bring ani sound at the end, and that completes the dual case. Now just before switching on to the hadith, just to bring into your attention a very important rule about the Arabic language, that if a topic starts with a single noun, that single nouns, whatever is connected to the single noun, would run all the way down to the end when the topic is finished. Similarly, if something has a dual case used in that sentence or in that topic, that dual case, everything which is connected to the dual case would then run down till the end. And similarly, if there is used in plural case, then everything which is connected to the plural case would then have all the plural cases till the end. So let's analyze the hadith now. We have here kalimatani habibatani ila rahman خفيفتان على اللسان ثقيلتان في الميزان سبحان الله وبحمده سبحان الله العظيم. Now at this stage, what you can recognize at the minute is kalimatani, you have seen that one, habibatani, you have seen that, khafifatani, you have seen that, thaqilatani, you have seen that. You have seen in the vocabulary section lisani, and that was tongue, and you have also seen that mizan is for the scale. So most of it you understand now. Kalimatani, and as I said, if something starts with the dual case, it has to run down whatever is connected to it. So habibatani is connected to kalimatani, so that's why it's been used two cases for that one. That was dual case has been used. Khafifatani is still talked about that two verses. So two verses are dear. You would not say that two verses are two dear. You would say two verses are dear because this is connected to that two verses. So two verses are dear, or two words are dear. And khafifatani, that is light. Thaqilatani, that is heavy. So where kalimatani habibatani, that means two verses or two words are dear. Ila rahman, and we will be talking about this ila down the course when we reach inshallah particles. But at this stage you can say that ila rahman is ila rahman, to the beneficent. So ila rahman, to the beneficent. At this stage you can remember this as it is. So ila rahman is to beneficent. So two verses or two words are dear to the beneficent, that means Allah. Khafifatani, that is also connected again to the kalimatani. So those two words, you can say that if you want to repeat it again and again, you can say that those two words are what? They are light. ala lisani, that means on the tongue. Lisan is the tongue, ala means over, and that's a particle again, we will be talking about it. Thaqilatani, those two words, that means those two words or two verses are heavy fil mizan, and the scale, that means in the scale. Fi is again the particle, we will be talking about it, so fil mizan, that is in the mizan. So that means kalimatani habibatani ila rahman. So two verses or two words are dear to the beneficent. Khafifatani al lisan, that means which are light on the tongue. Thaqilatani fil mizan, that is heavy in the scale. And what is the scale? And the scale that is talked about here is the scale on the judgment day, when everybody would be looked at that what have they done in their present day life. That means what they have done in the world. When they die, then those old deeds that you have done, they've been then put into scale, and you would be judged by that one. Which one is heavy? That means that will take you either away to the paradise, or if it is not heavy, that means you're in trouble. So those two things, what you can do is that because they are light on the tongue, but they are very heavy in the scale. So if you wanted to make your scale heavy, you would be looking for those two verses or the two words. And what are those two words? Just after that, what you can see, this is it. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallah al-Azim. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallah wa azim. So that is the verses, two verses that you need to recite. And if you do it 100 times in the morning and 100 times in the evening, inshallah, your mizan would be totally heavy. Every day if you do it, inshallah, you will collect as much as possible before you die. So that's the translation for it. I'm not going to go into this one because we haven't touched those things. I'm just giving you the translation of it. What you at this stage recognize is this kalimatani habibatani, khafifatani, and saqilatani, and something from the vocabulary section, lisan and mizan, you understand it. So alhamdulillah, at this stage you understand something of this aziz, and you can make a sense out of it that it is talked about two verses only, which are heavy in mizan and which are light on the tongue. Now let's move on to the next stage, where we can basically change and look at the muthanna in different cases. So far we have dealt with an rafa case, so I've been doing this one on the singular cases and also on the muthanna cases as well. So in the singular, I will look at how it looks like the noun, and we have done this in the previous lesson, this exercise, but I wanted to give it again, see them in different cases, so you should be more familiarized with them. So let's take here qalamun, and that is when it goes into nasab, that is kalama and kalamin, and that's what we're talking about, the singular case. Then muthanna case, and you've seen kalamun was kalamani, so that is you change it to kalama. If you wanted to put it in a nasab case, that's still kalama, but any would come, that one, ya with sakin and nun with kasra would come. So that alif is now being replaced with ya only, and that's the case of the nasab. So that is kalamaini, and similarly is true for the genitive case. They are same, but we have given them different colors so that you can identify it. In case that you want to convert a dual case of rafa to nasab or jar, what you have to do is just to convert that one kalamun and then put a fatha on there. And in the rafa case, we were doing it alif and nun with a kasra, but in this case we will be replacing that alif with ya only, and then you have a kalamaini. So let's do some more exercise with it, and let's see kitabun, and that is normally in the singular case is kitaban and then kitabin, but let's see here, and that is kitabun. You put the fatha over there and you bring the aini over there, so that would be then kitabaini. That would be kitabaini. And similarly would be true for the jar case, because the jar and the nasab is the same and the musanna, so that would be kitabaini. Another one, waladun, so waladan, waladin, and then when you bring that one waladun and you change it to that, and then walada, and that would be waladaini, and similarly would be that for the jar. And now rajulun, rajulan, and rajulin. And if you do it in the muthanna case, that is a singular side, and that's the dual side. If you do that in the dual case, that would be rajulun, and that you put a fatha over there, and then you bring the aini over there, so that would be rajulaini. So that is a rajulaini. And lastly, if you look at the babun, baban and babin, and you want to convert it into dual case with the nasab and jar, then what you need to do is just to put the fatha over there and the yeni, and then the babeni, and that would be also babeni. So the muthanna has in common the genitive and the accusative case. That means the nasab and jar is the common, and you see in the same shapes, and they exist in the same shape if they are musamma. So the identification of them is, and the rafa case is that ani, and the identification and the nasab and jar case is any. So the question again arises, how would we know that it's being used as a nasab and jar? And the answer is again the same as that. From the context you would tell that if it is used in a nasab and a jar. As we go down the course, you would then build up that context and you would identify easily those nouns. So at this stage probably you would be wondering, you would be in a problem. As you go down there, you would automatically identify the things, and you would be getting the things and putting into the right place like a jigsaw. The statement that I made that you can identify the things from the context, one of the examples is here now. Just look at this whole verse, which is taken from Surah Al-Baqarah chapter number 2 and verse number 128. You can see that this noun over here, you can see that this is Muslimaini. And as you see, the Muslimun is a single word, and if you wanted to convert it into two Muslim, that means it's Muslimaini. So here in this context, if you look at, it's been talked about two Muslims over there. And this is basically very famous applications of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, the Prophet Ibrahim, where it says that about two Muslims. So that means there is somebody else along with him when he's making this application. If you just analyze and go back at the 127 verse, there you would find who is with him. This is basically his son, which is at the time of putting the walls of the Kaaba. They are building the walls, and at that time he's making this application. So he's talking about his and his son at this stage. So we're not going to go into this whole things at the minute. What you can identify is only the Muslimaini and maybe some of them, but we will get everything as we go down the course. Now in this lesson, what we have covered is the dual case, that you can convert something from a singular case to a dual case. The way that you can do it is in step. First you put the fatha on there, and then you bring the ani sound, and that changes something in the rafa. But if you wanted to do that in nasab and jar, you would be bringing any sound together so that to make it a, and one of the example is Muslimaini over here. Now the next thing that we will be looking at is to convert a singular noun or a dual noun into a plural, and that will be covering it in the next lesson. Sadaqallahu al-Azim.